father in Mount Pleasant wants answers tonight after he said the father. Father in Mount Pleasant wants answers tonight after he says another student, then a teacher, cut his daughter's hair. Jurnee Hoffmeyer says his 7-year-old daughter Jurnee came home from Cashapp Elementary last month with a haircut. Hoffmeyer says another student cut it on the bus. He took his daughter to the salon right away to try to fix it without sacrificing the length. Then 2 days later, Jurnee came home with an even shorter haircut. And he says a teacher cut. A father in Mount Pleasant wants answers tonight after he says another student, then a teacher, cut his daughter's hair. Jurnee Hoffmeyer says his 7-year-old daughter Jurnee came home from Cashapp Elementary last month with a haircut. Hoffmeyer says another student cut it on the bus. He took his daughter to the salon right away to try to fix it without sacrificing the length. But then 2 days later, Jurnee came home with an even shorter haircut. And he says a teacher cut it without his permission or his consent. According to Hoffmeyer, the school offered to have the teacher write Jurnee an apology, but still no explanation as to why this happened.
It happened once, so you would think, and they had calls from us being mad, all this, from a child doing it. What would make you think it would be okay if an adult did it? I don't understand what her reasoning.
The National Parents Union is advocating for Hoffmeyer and his daughter. The group requested security video from the school, but says the school did not respond. Northern Michigan's newsletter also tried to reach out to the school several times, but haven't heard back. The school board did not address this issue during tonight's meeting, despite several attempts during public comment.
And welcome to News at Night. I want to thank you all for joining me on this late night. I know this is later than I would like to have this out, but nonetheless, I've been meaning to cover the story for some time. And of course, just as we expected, while the mainstream media is trying to damage control for daggles, I don't care how young they are, if you're going to lunge at someone with a knife, then you're BT 1000, but you got the mainstream media trying to defend BT 1000s while having nothing to say about this incident. So you all saw the news story, and let's go on ahead and just read the details. So down here is the local story that happened in Mount Pleasant, and what I like to call the deep north state of Michigan. And you'll see why I call this the deep north state in just a minute. So the Detroit News obviously having the coverage on this, but let's go through this right quick. A Michigan father has moved his 7-year-old biracial daughter from one school to another after the child's hair was cut on separate occasions by a classmate and a teacher. So Jurnee Hoffmeyer, who is the father, said Monday he is also considering taking his daughter Jurnee out of Mount Pleasant Public Schools and enrolling her into a private school entirely. So obviously this event happened on March 24th. When Jurnee arrived home from Cashapp Elementary School with much of the hair on one side cut, she said a classmate used scissors to cut her hair, which apparently if it was one thing you had a student cut it, which I don't know why the student didn't receive any punishment, but 2 days later after complaining to the principal and having Jurnee's hair styled at a salon with an asymmetrical cut to make the different lengths less obvious, Jurnee arrived home with the hair on the other side cut. Wow. She was crying, obviously. Hoffmeyer said she was afraid of getting in trouble for getting her hair cut. I asked what happened, and she said, I thought I told you no child should ever cut your hair. He continued. She said, but Dad, it was the teacher. The teacher cut her hair to even it out, supposedly. Hoffmeyer said that the explanation he has received from the principal in the district has done little to appease him. The school called after the bus incident and said the little girl stole the scissors off the teacher's desk and they were going to talk to the parents and deal with it accordingly. Later, the school principal told him the most that could happen to the library teacher was a note in her work file. She said she didn't have the authority to do anything, he added. She kept asking me what she could do to make it go away. Hoffmeyer said he filed an incident report with the Mount Pleasant police, but as of Monday, no officer had contacted him to follow up on the complaint. Hoffmeyer said he received a call from the district superintendent about a week later after the school spring break. She offered to have "I'm sorry" cards mailed to the family, he said. I got mad and hung up. Hoffmeyer, who is black and white, so the father, Hoffmeyer, is a biracial male, which makes, well, with the mother being white, makes this little sweetheart quarter black, which we're going to have a quote about that. We're going to talk about that in a bit. I'm not one to try to make things about race, he said. I've pretty much grown up with only white people myself. The girl who cut Jurnee's hair is white, and the teacher who cut it also is white, said Hoffmeyer, who has two other daughters ages 8 and 4. Mount Pleasant is about 150 miles northwest of Detroit. About 4% of Mount Pleasant's 25,000 residents are black, according to the U.S. Census. Hoffmeyer is working with the National Parents Union, a national network of parent organizations and activists that advocates to improve the quality of life for children. In a statement released late Tuesday, District Superintendent Jennifer Verleger confirmed Hoffmeyer's story, adding the child's teacher was aware of the library employee's plan to cut the student's hair. The haircutting was done without permission from the student's parents or consulting with the school administrators. Regardless of their good intentions, these actions were unacceptable and show a lack of judgment on the part of our two employees, Verleger said in the statement. Both are being reviewed for further disciplinary actions in accordance without school policies and procedures. Verleger added that she had personally apologized to the student's family. Now, what will happen next, we'll see about that. As far as that's concerned, let's go on to really look at this story. So as you can see here is the face of the father, and here is the daughter. So as we can see here, no awareness has been brought up about this story at all in the national media. They've been covering other things, like, yeah, whatever. So obviously, okay, so apparently this is just reiterating the story that happened. Yeah, so I'm not going to pretty much read this all, but we're just going to scroll down here. Got her sisters. Right. Yep, so here are the main points that the story we spoke about in the story. Hoffmeyer said Jurnee was crying and afraid of getting in trouble, which we obviously stated, and here is the Instagram evidence. As you can see here is the hair before in the center, and here is what happened to her on the left and the right. So obviously this is just a reiteration of what we read about before on the Detroit Press. Hoffmeyer said he was not satisfied with the response he received from his daughter's school, obviously. And it looks like here, yep, you have a discussion here from the National Parents Union to join our Director of Policy and Legislation, Christina Laster, for a discussion with the Hoffmeyer family. Okay, so they actually had a discussion with the National Parents Union to secure justice for Jurnee. So if we want to look at that tweet, apparently, so let's see how many tweets. We got a few hundred here, a few responses, and so forth. So we do see there is some movement. I mean, not as much movement. Oh, there are 1.6k tweets. Okay, 32.4k likes. Okay, got it. So, and look at this. Shout out to Mary Copeney. You got a sister on here who actually brought this up for some decent awareness. So yeah, let's see what the responses are here. Yep, this is a complete violation of the child's bodily autonomy. Police call should be made. I would have had a lawyer so fast the teacher's heads would spin. Yeah, this is exactly how do we ensure that this teacher is fired. Start blasting the principal and the school board stat. So yeah, exactly. This is child. Yeah, the poor baby. And I want to note that there are a lot of people of all races who are standing in defense of this individual. So as far as that's concerned, I am pleased and satisfied with the unified disgust that this has brought. So shout out to all the people who have tweeted the stories. Shout out to all the people who, with their Twitter memes and roasting of the administrators, the teachers. Exactly. So with that being said, why? Exactly. 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 Sue immediately. This is horrifying in a civilized society. Thanks for amplifying her story in your platform. So, yeah, why is it that this individual doesn't get any awareness? This young lady doesn't get any awareness. But someone who we saw going after another individual in an attempt to do you know what with a knife, to end the life with a knife, she's getting sympathy. She's getting sympathy. Anyway, all right, so where are we? So we got some more footage, or at least some more audio footage, with Hoffmeyer, the father, working with the National Parents Union to fight for Jurnee and advocates spoke and advocates. Okay, so Hoffmeyer is working with the National Parents Union to fight for Jurnee, and advocates spoke in her support at a school board meeting. So let's listen to the audio if we can.
I'll turn it over to virtual, so please raise your virtual hand, and we will start the process. Okay. So the first name on my list is Katie Marie. Katie, are you there? Christina Lazarus. Christina, are you there?
I am here. Thank you very much. I am actually asking for the board to formally resolve some issues. I am the Director of Policy and Legislation with the National Parents Union, supporting and empowering the Hoffmeyer family. And we are asking for a formal apology to the Hoffmeyer family for violating their rights and cutting Jurnee's hair without parental advisement or consent. Formal consequences to the educators and staff who decided to act without parental permission, guidance, or consent and cut Jurnee's hair. Damages based on the injury and mental anguish that has taken place to this family and child. Formal policies in place that will prohibit future harm in this or any other manner that indicate discriminatory practices based on race, ethnicity, hair type, texture, or style according to the Crown Act. Resolve to follow the law and not assault children in any way. Resolve to have best transparent practices with a spirit of respected collaboration as parents are co-partners in their child's education. And resolve to follow the law and best practices when requests are made through the Freedom of Information Act open and public records requests and return communications to parents and families. I ask that you would agendize this item to resolve all of these things that I listed for your next board meeting. Thank you.
So shout out to Christina Laster. I'm not sure if she herself looks biracial, but nonetheless, shout out to her for bringing this up and for the National Parents Union to possibly take this action even further. So with that being said, let's go down the list of Christina Laster and her text on IG. Oh, Facebook. We don't do Facebook here, buddy. So, Justice for Jurnee and the Crown Act. So this is, if you want to look on Facebook or just pause this video, this is what she stated on officially. Granted, as admirable as this is, I would definitely have her, Christina Lassler, and Mr. Hoffmeyer work with an attorney, an official attorney or lawyer, in order to get some real action done. So, with that being said, the Crown Act, in short, in summary, which was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives in September 2020, but then stalled in the Senate, stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair and prohibits discrimination based on a person's hair. So, with the new administration in town, hopefully they can naturally do something that will be really progressive and pass the Crown Act, regardless of how you feel about it. So, obviously, as you can see here, Mr. Hoffmeyer, Jimmy, is married to Christine Hoffmeyer, who also spoke out publicly about the haircut. So obviously Jimmy Hoffmeyer is married to Christine, Jurnee's mom. Christine Hoffmeyer has also spoken out about her daughter's treatment at the school and posted on social media, although Jurnee's dad has been the main spokesperson for his daughter in the news articles. So here's what Christine Hoffmeyer posted. You can pause the video and read it for yourself. And on the fifth point, Hoffmeyer said, "I'm not one to try to make things about race," which obviously, I mean, he hasn't. But even within that spectrum, he has taken the proper action to do what a dad does, and that is to stand up for his daughter. And in this case, he has a good argument in stating that this was a racially motivated attack. Now, there are going to be some people who, probably kids, I mean, you can say this was a case of general bullying. And even with that being said, that brings up more the reason why we should have a defense, a sacred ground, and a reaction to when multiracial individuals are targeted. And you know what? I don't care if they did look white in front of the kids. I mean, she was targeted for a reason, not only by the kid, which, yeah, you can argue it was a case of either bullying or just them screwing around. But in the case of the teacher, even if it wasn't a racially motivated thing, even if it was an ignorant thing, even if it was an ignorant thing in order to make the hair straight, that's not the teacher's call, that's the parents. And trust me, parents can easily tell when a kid doesn't look exactly like they belong in their tribe. And that's definitely the case in a place like Michigan, especially in the outskirts of Michigan, which, as we read earlier, the school district that this individual, this this little girl was in, is over 100 miles from Detroit. So, and we all know how Detroit is when it comes to its segregation and its race issues. And that was before all the other stuff popped off. So, obviously, the articles are in the description for your own reference later on. And Mary Copeney, let's look at Mary Copeney right quick, the person who brought this up. So obviously, so she definitely seems like a person who brings social awareness in. So we got to defend this professional black woman right quick. Okay, so as you can see here, founder of Dear Flint Kids. So she's an advocate for the kids of Flint, Michigan, who have to drink the disgusting water that's over there. And a lot of people who would consider her sort of an SJW, a philanthropist, future president, nice. They would consider her a colorist in the sense that, oh, she's going to defend the black girls, right? Oh, she ain't defending no mixed girls. She's going to be pissed off at the mixed girls. Well, she did go out of her way to defend this mixed girl, to her credit. So you got to give her credit. Give credit where it's due. And alongside that, yeah, this is the story that blew up. So April 19th is when she brought this to the attention of the mainstream world. And with that being said, shout out to her for that. So obviously, this has gained some ground within the mainstream media. ABC News hasn't. A couple of other stories brought it up, including the Associated Press, Yahoo News, USA Today, some local affiliates that are outside of the Detroit region. Even Black Enterprise brought it up. And as far as the comments are concerned, let's see. No, are you serious? Are you serious? Okay. Let's see. You see, when you try to give your own people, when you try to give them a chance, it's like, oh, you're using ad blocker, whatever, dude. So, with that being said, this is obviously something that has been underreported for a reason. This is something that poses as an issue and will continue to pose as an issue for multiracial Americans, specifically multiracial children who can't defend themselves. And this is something that definitely needs awareness, but there is a silver lining in the story in which you do have individuals, including the ladies mentioned, and the father taking action as he should. Which, I mean, this definitely breaks the narrative of what we have been getting for the past few days of, well, if you burn the coal, you pay the toll. Well, the toll doesn't seem to be a single motherhood. And there is a toll to pay. Don't get me wrong. There is a toll to pay, at least for now. But as far as the toll itself, is it from the black fathers or biracial fathers, or is it from everyone else? I'll let you make that decision yourself. So let me see. Yep. I'm sorry you have one job. Teach my child. Anything else further is grounds for me to take action legally as possible, if possible. And if that is impossible, well, other things happen. Exactly. So I want to shout out to all of you who joined me live, and I want to shout out all of you who watch the playback. This isn't going to be the most detailed news at night, because this is just a matter of fact story in which needs to get out. So I want to thank all of you out here who joined me tonight on the news, and yeah, everyone else out there, well, I won't repeat the rest. You know what's next, but stories and lessons that we can learn from this story include just making sure that we foster an environment where our offspring, if you decide to go into that lifestyle like this individual, like this biracial man has. So, I mean, for all the pro-vax out there who say, oh, you should have done that, he should have done that, he should have chose his sister, the sister's defending him, look. He made his choice, but he's standing up for his daughter. He's doing the job. He's doing his thing. He's having the cojones to stand up to the opposition. He's fighting the ops, which is more than what I can say about a lot of pro-vax, a lot of alt-righters even, and a lot of those who are just sitting on the sides. I mean, he chose his life. He chose his wife. Oh yeah, his wife, by the way, not his baby mother, not his estranged whatever, his wife. And with that being said, shout out to both of them, and God bless the kid. Salute GK. I see you in the building. Shout out to everyone who is fighting on the behalf of Miss Jurnee Hoffmeyer. And yeah, I see you, all you who joined in late. Just watch your replay. And other than that, enjoy your evening.